Today we're going to work on a different project. It's a golf shoe. It's not a normal golf shoe, it's a handmade golf shoe. So we don't see these very often, so we thought we'd do a video on it. It's a Goodyear welted construction. The difference is it's got studs in, so it's a little bit more complicated, but it's a nice challenge. I've not done one of these for a while. Already started cleaning the uppers a little bit. I put some glue into these cracks, so we're going to stick them down, heat them up and stick them down, and start and put some polishes back into the upper. Only trouble is with golf shoes, look fantastic in white, but they're just so hard to maintain. So it's going to take a bit of time to do that, but we'll try and move it on as quick as we can. But everything's taking shape nicely now. Place the heel back on. So that joint fits really nicely. Make sure everything's square. Put it on the press. Put slow pressure on this because it's plastic and leather. If you hammer it, it'll break the seal. The glue will come off the plastic. We're going to nail it as well. Just don't break the seal there. Okay, that's gone on really nice. Okay, heel on. Now time to attach the heel from the inside. Make sure it won't come off. Be a bit bad if it came off when you out there on the golf course, so make sure it's well secured. Right, so I'm going to put in a couple of extra long ones. Making sure they're not showing. Okay, that's good. All good. Right, so next job is trim the heel round. We've already trimmed the sole, and then the backs are worn, if you can see inside there. So I've already pre-cut as close as I can brown leather to match that and our branded in sock, so everything looks in keeping. So I'm just going to trim the heel. Right, so we're going to do the backs now. Back liner wears out on a lot of shoes. It's your heel slightly moving about when you put your shoe on and off, so it's quite common that this happens. So we've had a little press knife made that cuts them out, and then we skive them down on a skiving machine so the edges fit nice, so the customer doesn't feel any raw edges on the inside of his foot. The trick is everything is still wet. Just means you can position and move it around a little bit, manipulate it while the two surfaces are still not dried out. So yeah, we try to keep it close to colour as possible so it looks like original. So we've put a nice piece of calf leather in there which will last a long time and be really comfortable. So pop that onto the metal last and just gently tap the shape, so get any air out of the back, and then tap down so that seats everything flat. Okay, so that's in nicely. It's got a nice little padded collar, so nice little bevel there, so I'm happy with that. And then we'll put our own branded in sock in, just to finish the job off. I've cut that to the size of the original one, I've used the old back sock as a template. Cut it out. So again, it's not as crucial, but it's better if both surfaces are still wet. These are all, you know, comfort and finishing touches, and obviously puts our stamp on the work, as it were. Okay, so I'll let that dry a little bit, and then I'll rub the glue off and make sure everything's seated down. But we're going to move on to the stitching machine now and stitch on that top line there, so it makes it really neat, because I don't want the, you know, customer to, you know, glaringly obvious that we've done some repair work at the back. So one more step closer. Okay, so we're now going to stitch the back liner in, and we're going to follow that stitch line there so it's in keeping. This stitching machine I bought locally from somebody who was doing some leather work, and it's an absolutely fantastic machine. It's a Singer, what we call a patching machine, and it gets us out of fixes. Okay, so I've set the stitch to a similar size, which is there. That adjustment, the higher you go, smaller stitch, the lower you go, the bigger the stitch. So it's also got a foot treadle, so stitch by hand so much, and then start using the foot treadle so that I can move the shoe round with both hands. Let's go back. Let's lock the stitch off. Just realised I've not done. I didn't lock the stitch at the start, so schoolboy error. Sorry about that. Let's go back and lock that off. That should be fine now. And then now, as you can see, it's all stitched in neatly. We'll take all these ends off, and then we'll cut this nice and true around the top, make it look neat, and then we're on to the uppers then. Okay, so we've tied the ends off now. Got to cut that back liner off neatly at the top. It's important that we don't cut the stitches on the inside, and that the knife is really sharp, so you're not forcing it. So that's come really good. So we've cut that off nice and flush, but we've still got a raw edge there that could irritate the wearer, so this hand finishing tool, edge beveler. And that just takes that off and it looks better. We'll polish that as well. So that's got a raw fibres, but we'll polish that and just seal fibres with a bit of flame, which might scare Johnny up in Scotland. It's perfectly safe. And then later on we'll put some polish on that and finish it off. So right, so fundamentally everything's done. We've got to put the studs back in, which we'll do. But now I've cleaned the upper, now I've got to polish it and clean some of this white off. But what I'm going to do first is do the edges, and then I can get the FootJoy logo back on, which was requested. So what I'm going to do is, because it's white, I'm going to mask off the uppers, even though we haven't finished them yet. I don't want to have to keep repeatedly cleaning them. Okay, right, so we'll get some ink on them, let that dry, brush them off, and then we'll finish by polishing it up, put some laces in it, and put the studs back in and job's fished. It's not going to stick very well to the plastic, but once we've waxed it on the finishing brushes, it'll get a nice finish on it anyway. Right, we'll let that dry. Okay, tricky bit. So, white and ivory and brown, nightmare. So we've cleaned these back a few times, a lot of build up of white polish, so they have been looked after these. It's just that white is so hard to maintain, so what I'm doing is I'm sealing it with some neutral. Because this neutral will actually is a form of cleaner as well, not just the polish. So I'm hoping that it reduces the white bleed into the colours, because that's what's going to happen. But they really have come on really leaps and bounds now. And then when I polish this off on the machine, a really nice lift and shine on it, and water repellency. Then a little bit of taupe grey, because this is like a imitation crocodile. I think it's imitation. It's got dark recesses in it, so just put a in between colour on, and that'll go into the recesses, and again it'll shine up real nice. Right, so I'm going to go into the machine now. I'm going to polish all these bits, dark areas and edges, and then I'm going to mask this part off then and start working on the white bits. Okay. Okay, so don't know if you can catch it on camera, but we've got a nice lustre of shine there, and that will help protect as we now do the it's all the creases in the white that we've got to try and get the polish into in the front, but there's a few heavy scuffs there. I put some glue into that, so I'm going to stick that down. Just going to clean that up there, because got a little bit of a overspill of wax off the machine. Makes it a little bit simpler. Okay, so I'll stick this down, and we'll put some filler in there as well, into the cracks, and let that dry, and then we'll polish it, put the laces in, and then put the studs back in, FootJoy logo, and that's it, job complete. Okay, upper time. This is the most difficult bit. We're going to try and repair these little cracks. We've got some filler, upper filler. Like I say, it's not going to be perfect, but when we've polished it, the overall appearance will definitely look better. So this stuff dries off quite quick, and it's a case with white is to do a few different layers. Let it dry, polish it, let it dry, polish it, until you build a nice patina up. And then we'll return to it in a little while. We've masked everything off. That's all polished and sealed. We'll give it a final polish, put the laces in, polish the uppers a couple of times, put the studs in, and there we go. White polish time. Gently does it. So we're not going to get these back perfect, but the overall appearance will be a lot sharper. The thing is with white, it's a labour of love. It's a work in progress all the time. It's a bit like washing pots. It'll keep coming back at you. You've got to keep at it. And once you get that mindset, it can be quite therapeutic, keeping your white shoes white. Right, so we need to let that dry, and then we'll buff it off once it's dry, and we'll put the laces in, and then we'll give it another coat of white, let that dry, and then buff it off, and then you'll start to see it building up a nicer patina, a bit more consistent. Right, buff off time, number 1. Right, and then now straight into some more white polish. I don't know if you can see, but those dark areas have gone almost a bit grey, instead of being like a browny colour. When you buff it, it sort of evens it all out. Okay, drying time. Buff off number 2. Okay, another layer of white. One more layer. One more layer for good luck. I mean, we could paint these. You can buy a paint dye, and that would solve the problem initially. But unfortunately, because it creases, it'll just crack straight away. So, better the polish. To be fair, maybe you could touch those ends up, because they're not going to take any polish really. They'll look better when they, finally polished. But maybe you could just dab them with paint, make it look a bit neater. But we sort of said we'd keep it traditional, this repair, rather than adding synthetic paints and stuff. Right, so while that's drying, I've cleaned the studs, I've put the laces in, so we've got nice backliner in, nice insock, laces in, waiting for that finally to dry off. So I'll take this masking off, see if there's any polishing we need to do. Also got to put the Footjoy logo back on, but we'll start and put these studs back in. Just have a look at bottom. Okay, so back to being a golf shoe. Now we just put this logo back on. Hopefully, won't be too hard to do. Cleaned that up earlier on. It's looking pretty good. So final buff off. Get the lambswool magic lambswool mitt. Put an extra glossy shine on. So there you go. One complete restoration of a Footjoy Classic. Okay, so here's another comparison job that we've done. Footjoy Classic. We've restored the uppers, cleaned them up, kept the original logo in place. Hopefully you can see the difference that that we've done. We've tried to keep it how the customer wanted and the traditional look of the FootJoy Classic. We've replaced all the sockets underneath on the heels as well. We've got an oil-based leather with a rubber insert, customer's initials on, and the uppers, although we knew we weren't going to be perfect, they've come up really well. New laces. We've put a new backliner in there, new insock. As you can see, that one's worn out, but obviously we're going to do the other one. But I just think it's nice to show the difference when you're doing a job. But anyway, I hope you like the video. Really enjoyed doing it. Not done this for a while, so it's challenged me, which is always a good thing. So if you do like the video, please press like, please comment. If you want any information, like I say, I'm going to try and get up to speed on that. And also, if you want to see any jobs, anything that you'd like me to do, obviously comment, and if we can do that for you, we will. So yeah, like, subscribe, comment. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully this has been enjoyable for you guys too, and we'll see you soon. Okay, take care. Thank you very much. Cheers.